In January 2026, a company collapsed. It owed Chanel $136 million. It owed small designers everything they had. But the most valuable thing it owned, a building worth $3.6 billion, was never part of the bankruptcy. It was never even in danger. That building is the most famous store in America, maybe the world. And the man at the top didn't steal it. He didn't have to. He made sure that when the store died, the building stayed his. If you've watched this channel, you've seen this before. The toy store you grew up with. Sears, Red Lobster, the same machine every time. But this time, it didn't come for a mall brand. It came for the single most prestigious name in American retail, and it did it in broad daylight. The receipts are public. So if Saks isn't safe, nothing is. Here's the question that runs through this entire story. The most valuable retail building on Earth. Its parent company files for bankruptcy, and the building is not in the bankruptcy. How is that even possible? Hold on to that, because before Saks, this same man did all of this to a company older than the country it operated in. 355 years old. You'll hear its name, but first, you need to understand the weapon. Meet Richard Baker. He is not a retailer. He has never been a retailer. He is a real estate developer who owns a property firm called NRDC. And somewhere along the way, he figured out something most people never think about. When you buy a department store, you are not really buying a store. You are buying the dirt underneath it. So here's the whole trick. You rent the building to your own store. The store pays you rent. The store carries the debt, the payroll, the suppliers. And when the store goes broke, the rent stops, the workers go home, the suppliers eat the loss. But the building was never the store's. It was always yours. He had run this play before. Lord & Taylor. He bought it for $1.2 billion, put in just $25 million of his own money, and borrowed the rest against the bricks. Then he sold the flagship building to WeWork for around $850 million and dumped the operating company for $100 million 2 years later. Before that, he flipped an entire chain of store leases to Target for $1.8 billion. He never lost money. The stores always did. And he was about to run this exact play on Saks, but bigger. Remember that store on Fifth Avenue, the flagship between 49th and 50th? 100 years of marble and glass, opened in 1924. Keep it in your mind, because in 2013, Baker found his masterpiece. The year after he bought Saks, he took out a $1.25 billion mortgage on that Fifth Avenue flagship, freshly appraised at $3.7 billion. When a reporter asked him about the building, Baker called it, and these are his words, a little added gift with purchase. Sit with that for a second. So the building gets walled off into a separate company that Baker controls. The store keeps operating inside it, paying for the privilege. And then, in December 2024, Baker makes his biggest move yet. He buys Neiman Marcus and Bergdorf Goodman for $2.7 billion and bolts them onto Saks to create something called Saks Global. How do you pay for a $2.7 billion deal? You don't. The company does. Saks Global takes on $2.2 billion in bonds at 11% interest. The company was now paying for its own purchase. The same trick, scaled up. And here is where it turns cruel. Long before the bankruptcy, going back to 2023, Saks simply stopped paying its suppliers on normal terms. It stretched their invoices out over 12 months. Imagine being a small brand, owed money you've already earned, and being told to wait a year. A lot of them stopped shipping, and the shelves of one of the most luxurious stores in the world started to go bare, empty displays under the chandeliers. Now read what the company's own restructuring officer told the bankruptcy court. He described these suppliers as irreplaceable, category-defining brands. Irreplaceable. They knew exactly how essential these people were, and they left them unpaid for months anyway. Chanel will survive losing $136 million. Fisayo Che might not survive losing a small fraction of that. Che is the founder of Elisa Mama, a small apparel brand she started in 2020. In 2023, Saks itself picked her. It chose her for its program for emerging designers. It gave her a grant. It gave her mentorship. It put her brand on the most prestigious sales floor in America. And within 2 years, Saks had grown into 50 to 60% of her entire business. The company built her up. And then, in 2025, it simply stopped paying her. By the time the music stopped, Fascio Che was out 6 figures. Same bankruptcy as Chanel. The difference is, Chanel will be fine. And the $3.6 billion building at the center of all of this never felt a thing. The shelves were empty, the building was safe, and Baker was about to tell everyone, in public, exactly what he was doing. Because by late 2025, Saks Global missed a $100 million interest payment to its bondholders. That was the moment the clock started. But to understand where this ends, you have to see where it already ended. In January 2026, Saks Global files for Chapter 11 in the Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Texas. And now we can answer the question from the very beginning. Why isn't the building in the bankruptcy? It's not a theory, it's in the filing. The Fifth Avenue flagship is owned by a company almost nobody has ever heard of. It's called Saks Flagship Real Property, LLC. And in the court documents, next to its name, is a single word: non-debtor, not part of the bankruptcy. The $3.6 billion building, legally out of reach of every creditor, every supplier, every employee who's owed anything. The receipts are in the court filings. If you're thinking this can't possibly be legal, you're right to ask. But it was, every single step. And we know exactly how this story ends because Baker already filmed the ending. He had done all of this once before. When it was over, the workers got no severance. None. The executives running the shutdown collected $3 million in bonuses. Same company, same week. That is the detail you will repeat to someone today. The company they were bearing was 355 years old. Its name was Hudson's Bay, the oldest company in North America, older than Canada, older than the United States. Baker liquidated it in 2025. Every store closed by the 1st of June. Roughly 8,347 people lost their jobs. That is not a glitch. That is the design. He had just killed a company that survived 3 centuries. Saks didn't stand a chance. And here's the part that should change how you see all of it. For Baker, none of this is failure. A store that dies while the building it sat in survives, intact, in his control? That's not the accident. That's the whole point. Now, someone will tell you Saks isn't really dead, that it's just reorganizing. Restructuring. So let me show you what reorganizing actually looks like. 57 stores eliminated. The personal styling clubs closed. The off-price chains wound down. Nearly 17,000 employees in the danger zone. And the real estate sold off piece by piece. Think about the Saks holiday windows on Fifth Avenue, the ones tourists line up to see every December. Picture them going dark, while the building underneath them stays worth $3.6 billion, perfectly safe. The chain you knew, carved apart. That is what it means to kill a name. And the man who did it? Elizabeth Holmes is serving 11 years. Sam Bankman-Fried is serving 25. Richard Baker is still the governor and executive chairman of the company. He was never charged with anything, not one count, because nothing he did was a crime. Let that land. There is no courtroom coming, no perp walk, the most documented dismantling of an American icon in a decade, and the architect keeps his title, his fortune, and his building. Closing. So who killed Saks? Not Amazon, not the death of the mall, not luxury fatigue. Saks was killed by the man who decided the building was worth more than the 17,000 people, the suppliers, and the most famous name in American retail combined. He didn't steal the building. He kept it. He let the store die around it. And every document that proves it is sitting in a public court file right now. This isn't a broken system. It's working exactly as designed. The building always survives. The people never do. And somewhere right now, the next one is being bought. Subscribe. So Killed Companies doesn't end up on Killed Companies.